Let's dive into the discussions shaping the nation.
Minister, not a single day goes by that this government breaks the law in relation to the statutory timeline under the Disability Act for an assessment of need. In a previous commencement matter with the then Minister for State, she described it as Groundhog Day and as bad as it gets. Unfortunately, it's got worse since. Now over 15,000 children are waiting on an assessment. In my own area of Kildare, where we have the second highest number of children who are overdue an assessment, nearly 1,700 children are overdue an assessment in Kildare and Wicklow. And then, of course, Minister, even if a child receives an assessment, they are likely to languish on another waiting list with so many other children. Waiting lists are in the tens of thousands for essential therapies, with over 20,000 children waiting on psychology and OT, 19,000 waiting on speech and language therapy, while nearly 10,000 are waiting on physio. Every expert agrees that early intervention is key. We're all aware of this, and many ministers are on record acknowledging this fact. Yet the average wait time for the CNDT in Kildare is more than 3 years. Government is missing the critical point for early intervention for these children. They are simply failing them, Minister. Government needs to provide transparency and accountability on this issue. Government should be publishing monthly waiting lists for assessment need and therapies. We need to know that these figures are going in the right direction. Parents, Minister, need to see some light at the end of what can be a very dark tunnel for their children who need help. We need to train more therapists and specialists. We need to see them on the ground working in schools, but there seems to be no strategy for this by government. We know that there is no quick fix, but there are many ways in which the government can provide immediate relief to those children and indeed their families. Short and medium-term measures need to be considered by governments such as the Labour Party proposal to outsource diagnostic assessments for children waiting the longest. Another proposal is to utilise the National Treatment Purchase Fund to reimburse parents that have already paid huge amounts for private therapies. In the programme for Government, Minister, there is a mention of grant funding for children's therapies. I ask again for clarity, as I've done before on this fund. It may go some ways towards addressing the long wait times if parents can access private therapies through a temporary government grant. Once again, and not for the first time, Minister, I want to raise the issue of the National Child Development Centre to be operated by Sensational Kids. I am aware that the organisation will submit their proposal to the HSE for capital funding in the coming weeks. It is sad to see this potential state-of-the-art treatment centre lying block high and unfinished in Kildare town. It would have the capacity to see 300 children per week, taking them from the waiting list that I've spoken about in my earlier contribution. But it is also importantly offer those much-needed clinical placements and mentoring for the therapists, OTs and other specialist clinicals and consultants that we need in this country, offering them the opportunity to get the placement that so many of them are currently struggling with at the moment. I ask you, Minister, to urge all of Government to get behind this much-needed development in the state. Later this evening, we will have the opportunity to discuss this matter further and mention Cara Dermody and her dad, Mark. I look forward to that, Minister. I look forward to mentioning what Cara has done in the battle for her two brothers and also going into some detail on cases that I'm dealing with currently in my own area of Kildare South.
Deputy Chair.
Like, share, and subscribe, and let us know your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear from you.